Okay, y'all, so are you ready to talk about the birds and the bees? Let's get into it. I'm not really going to talk about the birds and the bees, but what I am going to talk about is like bases, like in a little bit about sex, right? And how you get to each of those bases. I've been watching a lot of baseball lately. For some reason, baseball seems to come on just about every single day. I don't know what it is, honey, but it's just like a lot. So let me just talk about like the different bases and what I think those different bases mean, right? So for me, there's like first base, second base, third base, and then you have that almighty home run, honey. But let me just say that for me, first base is probably different from a lot of people, because first base for most people probably means kissing. Like, I'm gonna get that first kiss, da 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 da. However, for me, that's not really the case. I'm not that girl who wants to do that first kiss on the first date type of stuff. I'm like, my first kiss probably was like 2 or 3 days later, right? So anyways, but for some people, they think that if I get that first date, that first kiss on the first date, that's a really good sign that someone likes me. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I think that, first of all, you should ask for consent before you try to kiss anybody or before you try to get to any base. So let's say that first base really is that first kiss, right? Let's just say that. So you get to the first base, then what is second base? Is second base like more kissing? Is it making out? Is it holding hands? I mean, how do you know, right? And my big thing is that you really should ask for consent, because my second base, like I said, could not even be the first kiss, could be something totally different from somebody else's. So when you get to second base, what does that mean for you? I mean, what does that mean for the other person? I don't know, but I would say talk about what your intentions are with getting to each of these bases. And let's not even, get too deep into what third base means. Because, is third base making out? Is it kissing more? Is it like touching each other in a more intimate way? Is it having sex? I don't know. But I would say, that's something that you really want to talk about with someone, because you don't want to make an assumption that just because someone's kissing you or they're okay with kissing you, that you can like put your hand like on their bottom or somewhere else that you probably shouldn't be putting it. I don't know, honey. It's one of those things to where it's really hard to gauge, especially when you first meet someone. So there are these 3 bases, and there's this almighty home run. So what does that mean? Is the home run when you get to sex? I don't know what it all means. So I'm curious. It's like, for me, the home run would be sex. I've gotten to that point in liking this person and dating this person, and you don't even have to be in a relationship with someone. This is just about the bases and how far you go and where you get to with these bases when it comes to sex, right? Or, being involved with someone. And so to me, the home run is sex. That would be how I see it, right? But for someone else, the home run could be just making out, like heavy making out. I don't know. So let me just recap really quickly, because we're not talking about the birds and the bees really, because I don't even know what that conversation would look like. But we are talking about taking steps to get to base 1, 2, and 3 in the home run, and consent for each of those bases, right, or steps, what that looks like for you and the other person. So my thing is this, just because something works for you doesn't mean it's gonna work for someone else. So I would say always have a conversation. And I know it's kind of corny, and I know it kind of kills the vibe sometimes, because you're like, ooh, this is good, I'm feeling good. But I've had situations where people, thought that it was okay to go to that next step or that next base, and then found out, later that the person wasn't interested because they thought they were being too forward, too assertive. I'm going to use that word, right? And so that messed up, them getting to know the other person and being able to get to the next base or the next step in a good, genuine way. So I would say that if you're not sure, and I know it sounds a little like, okay, blocking, I'm not going to use the other word, but y'all know what I'm talking about. It sounds a little bit like blocking, that it's like, okay, I got to ask somebody every time, but yes, you should, unless, that person gives you overall consent up front, and that's a different story, you know, but you can talk about that, you know, because I have had instances, and I know of instances where a person has really pulled back just because someone went too fast. So this is what my 2 cents is for you guys, is that if you're not really sure about like how far to go when you're trying to get to these bases, so to speak, honey, then ask the question or go slowly, and then let the other person kind of like, you know, lead you into, you know, whether or not they want more or not. That's just my 2 cents worth.